So, my medication hunting or shopping experience was not that good. I had a lot of difficulty because I was trying to shop in a number of ways. The good news in my situation going through this treatment is that my insurance covers or gives a certain amount towards IVF. But what is important for you to know, and what I did not know, is that they only use specific pharmacies. So your insurance is not going to cover you whatever you would like to go. So what happened in my case was the treatment facility had a pharmacy that they used, and they gave me one quote. My insurance was willing to cover the medications, which was great, but the prescription pharmacy that was tied into my insurance, they had a different quote. And the first pharmacy quote was about 5,500 roughly dollars for my treatment protocol. And the through my insurance, that pharmacy was $16,000. So you can see there, it's almost would have been better to pay out of pocket. But again, that's 5,500 out of pocket. The problem with the medications costing 16,000 as a hit to my insurance is that it leaves very little for the actual IVF. And so there was a lot of back and forth with me trying to understand my options. A lot of calls. And so just plan ahead if you're going through that, because it knocked the wind out of me. And lots of people not knowing. I'm trying to shop for the medications and trying to call customer service, and there's a different person I have to talk to actually get the price. Because sometimes what happens is you might want to keep your prescription at one pharmacy and shop before sending your prescription over. And as you know, sometimes if you're trying to shop without actually having a prescription, it's tough. Doable, but tough. And you don't want to forward the prescription because you don't know, you may go back to the other pharmacy. So something that just want to prepare you for if you're doing this for the first time. People talk about the stressful part. I haven't started my medications yet, but I know that that was really stressful for me. And there were some evenings where I was just, this week, I was just, on the phone for almost 2 to 3 hours after work. Good news is because of the pandemic, I was just right at work when I logged out of the system from my workplace. So it helped a little bit, but it was exhausting, and I'm still exhausted from it. So what I ended up doing was getting half my medications through my pharmacy through my insurance, so that they don't take like a really huge hit. And then the most expensive ones, I just ended up paying for those out of pocket to even those out. So I had 2 shipments sent to me. And the good news is that they overnight and send it. And then I thought everything was over. And then here's something also that I want to share with you, just for you to consider, is I had to call my bank because I was paying out of pocket. And as you know, most banks have limits per day. And with the medications I had to pay out of pocket, I had to call my bank to allow them to allow me to pay for the, out of pocket. And I wasn't using, using a credit card. Everybody's different. Some people put on their credit card, but in some cases you have to, if you have the funds and you want to use them, you have to contact your bank to let them know. So that was also another hassle, but I was able to work it out. Yeah, so that's a little bit. So I'm now going to show you the actual medications and give you the quote from one of the pharmacies that was cost effective. The other pharmacy through my insurance, they didn't do a good job of actually giving me a layout of the cost. They just told me the cost. And then the pharmacy that I actually ended up ordering from, they were cheaper than the pharmacy I'm about to show you by just a couple of hundred. And they are It's actually called Freedom Pharmacy. It's in Massachusetts and it's cost effective as well. Yeah, so that's what I can think about. And then another thing I wanted to share is that the whole in network versus out of network, how much of a deductible you have to pay, and how much coverage that they are going to cover based on the in or out network is something you also want to look into, depending on the fertility clinic you pick, especially if you change fertility clinics. Like I had to change fertility clinics because of the pandemic. So, and my age. And so I decided to go with one that was still seeing patients, but then that was considered, it was still in network, but a middle tier. And so it changed all the deductibles and everything. So you need to look into that too, especially if you are a person who might end up changing clinics, but just something I wanted to share as well. All right, so that's it. So now I'm going to actually show you the cost so you can kind of see how I was able to shop around. All right. All right, so this is the price quote. So you can see there that my medications cost, the quote here was $5,455 for my medications. I highlighted the Gonalef and the Menopur and the Prenatal to be the most pricey of the medications. And the ones that are not highlighted, my insurance was actually able to cover those. And this is one of the decisions why we decided to go out of pocket, is because it would have been more cost effective to pay this. Still a lot of money, but the hit on the insurance, their pharmacy was quoting $16,000. We're talking about the Gonalef almost being $11,000 with the quantity that I needed. So the cost comparison helps with that. So hopefully sharing this is helpful to you as you consider your planning.